Hello YouTube! Patch 4.22 Passage to Egypt for Smite today. Sorry about not getting a patch notes video for 4.21. I was otherwise engaged in unavoidable things last week, or 2 weeks ago. And I didn't want to put it out so late. There was already enough talk about it. And it wasn't, outside of the adventure, it wasn't that big of a patch. I guess Discordia was kind of cool, but this patch, we're here for this patch. Serket skin, I think, probably her best skin. Although her steampunk skin looks really, really good. Full card art here. Really cool. The chain looks really great. Just an overall really cool skin. I love ninjas. Who doesn't love ninjas? This is a very ninja skin. Voice pack.
Shinobi is the art of stealth.
Cool. Geb. It doesn't really look like that much changed on Geb, and in game it really doesn't look like that much changed on Geb either. Cool Geb skin. If it costs me anything, I won't buy it. But, you know.
My kidney stone test came back and I did not pass.
Says it's an Odyssey skin, so you might just grab it out of a chest. Hachiman skin looks really cool. The card art looks amazing. The card art makes it look a little bit cooler than it is, but it still looks really cool in game. The horse looking pretty good. I would have gone with a different tail, but that's me. This is them. Pretty cool skin though.
If you look into the face of evil, I will be the one looking back at you.
Cool voice pack. I actually really like that voice pack. These two skins I think are my very, very favorite skins of the Scylla skin. The Scylla skin is my favorite, mostly because of the dogs. Scylla, the card art here, fantastic skin. I love everything about this skin. I love the snow for one, and well, this is snowy, and I love it. And I love dogs, and those are probably my top 3 favorite dogs. Huskies there, and her voice pack's also fantastic.
It's not dessert for dinner if you only ever eat ice cream.
She's right, you know. Agni skin looks really, really cool. Agni has some really cool skins. I think this is one of them. The animations aren't the best on this guy, but the skin in general is really, really cool. The dark wizard magic thing he's doing here is really cool. I believe he's channeling his ult, but could be totally wrong about that. I don't pay attention a whole lot to Agni when I am using his ult. I think he has a voice pack.
Look at all these gods. I bet they've never felt the devastation of an ice age.
Probably not, Agni. Probably not. Serket Master skins looking pretty fashionable. Again, another Serket thing. No voice pack. I guess we can look at the wallpaper here. Nice full card art. I didn't mean to click that. Anyways, pretty sure this is already in there. I have not queued it yet because I don't have all of the items quite yet. I have most tier 2s and like half of the tier 3s. Well, I'm still grinding. I'll probably grind after this video. Anyways, purchasable items, Serket Geb, and the jump stamp that we never got to see. The bonus item is Hachiman, and the Egyptian quests are going to be coming to the Odyssey. Geb Dance, Hachiman Dance, Cutesy Snowman, Winter Holiday, Music Theme. Discordia achievements, cool. I think that the first one here is going to be pretty hard to get. The second one, not very much. As for the actual patch itself, balance, that's what you're here for. That's what I'm here to talk about. So there's been a lot of hate over the probably 2, maybe 3 patches about the tank meta. Tank Ratatasker has been very, very good. The win percentage on Tank Ratatasker is amazingly high. And they were obviously going to touch it here. They did something I didn't expect. They went about it in a way that I was not really expecting at all. So this change here is the big nerf to tank meta. They're trying to do it all in one item basically. And the theory behind it, here, let's just go into the item change. First, Warrior's Bane, which is the tier 2 of Titan's Bane, used to have 22%, and it is now 15% physical penetration. And then Titan's Bane itself increased again. Well, not again. It reverted the old price change from 23 to 2150, and it is now going back to 2300. The reason that they lowered this was because originally, back 2 patches ago, was because they lowered the price of the magical one of these. I forget the name of it right now. Don't tell anyone. But they're changing it back. They are also decreasing the physical penetration from 33 to 30. And going back to why they did this, instead of trying to buff damage against tanks, they are lowering the damage that you deal when you build tank. They felt that full tank Ratatasker with a Titan's Bane was the reason, well, not necessarily Ratatasker, but full tank jungler with a Titan's Bane dealt enough damage to be in the jungle. And they just wanted to lower the damage so that you didn't feel that you were doing enough if you built tank in the jungle. Not what I expected. It's not normal. I wouldn't say this isn't the straightforward way to go about fixing tank meta, but I like it. I like that they're trying to do it in a different way instead of just buffing damage against tanks, buffing the penetration items, nerfing the protection items, because what that does is it nerfs solo laners and supports, which are in a very good spot right now. I think solo lane is in one of the best spots it's been in all season. Some people might have differing opinions on that, but I like where solo lane is right now. You can be aggressive, you can play back, you don't have a huge impact on the game, but if you're a terrible solo laner, then you're putting your team at a disadvantage. It's not an irrelevant position as either. So we'll see how this works out. I like it. I think it's probably going to do very well. But like I said, just not what I would have originally guessed. Spellbound Kusari decreased magical protection from 50 to 40, and same with Shogun's Kusari, this is the tier 2, this is the tier 3. This item was very, very strong. Most people bought it. When you were going into your build as a support, when you got to your magical item, it was either Shogun's Kusari for the attack speed or Genji's Guard because you didn't need attack speed, so you just went selfish for the cooldown. This feels like if you have an amazing team like a Sol, a Kronos, and a Mercury or a Baka or something like that in the jungle, you'd still go this because 25% attack speed with that team is just crazy insane. Where if you have just like a typical ADC and a Sol in the mid lane, you might still go Genji's Guard. So they made this kind of more of a niche item. It's still a fantastic item, still good. I'll probably be picking it up quite a bit when I play support still, because I like supporting my team instead of being selfish. That is not a knock on other supports who like to be selfish. Selfish support is very much a thing that is viable. Voidstone decreased magical protection from 60 to 70 in line with this change here. Just trying to decrease the magical protection so that mages do more in the early game instead of maybe trying to rush these two. And a lot of these changes here, not Soul Eater, but these changes here are trying to target the lack of diversity of mage starts. Fortunately, I don't think they did that. I think they lowered the diversity of them because of a single change they made. But I digress. Tiny Trinket, which is the tier 1 of the lifesteal tree. Like if you were going to try to rush Bancrofts, which is pretty much the only item you'd rush there. Some people started it and went Book of the Dead, but that was usually after boots, maybe third item. Increased magical power from 15 to 20, so you deal just a little bit more damage. I like the change. Lost Artifact, which is the tier 1 of Rod of Tahuti and Doomorb, as stated there. Increased magical power from 15 to 20, also lowered the cost by 50, so that you can get one extra pot. And then they increased the stuff above it by 50 gold, just so that it wouldn't affect the overall items. This change is the one that I don't like, so we're going to skip it for now and go to Doomorb. Well, nah. So those are two that they're trying to get into the starting rotation. And this one, I think they should have left this one. I don't think that tier 2 book, which is Soul Trap here, if you make that even a little bit viable, it's what's going to happen almost every time. So they decreased the cost from 14 to 1350. Really, I mean, the whole downside of getting Soul Trap was that you could only get one mana pot and one health pot. And the big downside of that was that you couldn't trade out as well. You couldn't use abilities and regain the mana, and you also couldn't take the poke and just regain it. So I think that on most mid laners, you don't necessarily need that extra mana pot, except for maybe things like Thoth. But Thoth has, from so far away, you don't necessarily need the extra health pot. So just getting 2 health pots or 2 mana pots, depending on the god, will be just fine. You can totally survive it. You won't have any boots, but that's beside the point. I think this is going to be the start. I don't think there will be another one. And because of that, I don't think this Doomorb change matters. Because everyone's just going to go book, go into boots, go into a little bit of pen, or maybe a Bancrofts if they want lifesteal. You know, I don't think that anyone's going to double stack. Doomorb, though, the changes are increased magical power from 40 to 60. Originally, because they felt that it was too much of a risk for not enough reward at the very beginning of when you buy it. They felt like Book was getting bought too often and Doomorb not enough, so they tried to buff the beginning stages of it, increase the MP5 from 7, which is an odd number to have on it in the first place, to 10. Fine, whatever. Decrease the max stacks from 50 to 40, which means it's easier to stack. You lose less stacks when you die. It's easier to regain them, and it keeps the magical power the same, I believe. I think you get 2 per stack. I haven't looked at the stats on Doomorb. I haven't played with it enough. But I believe that this is not going to get bought. Soul Eater, a terrible item. Do not buy it. This decreased the cost 100 gold, and that's about it. It stacks so fast that the original power buff increasing by 10 won't. I mean, great, you get an extra 10 power, but again, it stacks so fast that it stacks in probably 3 or 4 waves, because you get both. You're going to be doing jungle camps. The big boys in the jungle camps count for 5 each. You're probably going to get a kill or get killed, or get an assist or something during the time you're stacking it. It just stacks so fast that moving 10 power from the end to the beginning isn't going to change anything. They just lowered the cost by 100 gold, which it doesn't have enough lifesteal to be useful. So Fenrir, a lot of people are saying, "Give me Fenrir every game. He's OP. Please nerf next patch." I don't think so. I think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to be slightly harder to deal with because of the change to his 2. But I don't think he's super insanely overpowered. I just combined overpowered and OP. Anyways, you understood what I was saying, and if you didn't, I have explained it thoroughly since. The changes: the passive no longer affects Seething Howl, which means that using Seething Howl no longer consumes the stacks, which was a huge deal because you wanted to use the stacks for a stun, but once you were in a fight, once you had stunned someone, you don't want to take the time to use your 2 and then start basic attacking them to get the power buff. You're almost missing an entire basic attack, and the extra power is not going to make up for that missed basic. So you kind of just used your whole kit, and then when you were done, you walked over to a camp, used your 2, your Seething Howl, and lifesteal back up to full health so you could use your kit again. Instead, now you're going to use your Seething Howl for the power buff, presumably. Obviously, if you're trying to be stealthy or jump over a wall or something, you might not give them advanced warning and all that. But ideally, you use your Seething Howl, you use your 1, which did not get a change at all, to stun them and then deal a bunch of damage. And the physical and magical protections, that's what I was like reading in here, like trying to find it. It's this one here. Brutalize, you now gain protections 5 plus 1 per level. So you total of 25. This is not what rank the ability is. This is per level, which I find slightly odd, but whatever. Not a ton of protections. 25 at max level is not a ton, especially against. ADCs are now going into heavy penetration builds, but I think it's a really good change if he goes in on maybe the solo laner, like if he tries to gank or something. That 25 protections is going to lower the damage by quite a bit. I like it. I really like the change to Seething Hell I talked about. Increased physical power buff. Instead of 10 to 70, it's now 20 to 80. Increased lifesteal buff from 30 to 35. That was already an insane lifesteal ability. It is now even better. He's going to be very hard to kill with the protections and the Seething Hell giving him lifesteal only on the basic attacks, but I guess unless you use Soul Eater, but we don't talk about that. And then they made Ragnarok more consistent. You saw a lot of Fenrirs use it and then not be able to hit their target. That was usually associated with bad Fenrirs. It was mostly because they were inexperienced. They didn't quite understand how the ability worked, where the targeter actually was on that. Now there's a cone and they increase the range, so he'll be able to hit it more often, more consistent. Good change, quality of life in my opinion. No other real balance changes to it. As I said at the beginning, I don't think this is going to make Fenrir OP like a lot of people are saying, but I think it's going to make him quite strong. He'll be top tier for assassins, top tier jungler. He has a lot of control, he has a lot of survivability, and he doesn't lack damage. He's just not super great at it. He's more of a setup, finisher. So we'll see. Artio still getting nerfs long after she was released. Basically, just reducing her healing overall. Decreased energy surge heal 60 to 140, 40 to 120. And magical power scaling on the heal from 25 to 20. So less healing. No matter how many gods you hit, it's not gonna like scale up. You get it's per god. I think it caps at 3. I could be wrong on that. I don't think it says it anywhere, but I think it does cap at 3. And the life tap her 3, decrease magical power scaling on life tap heal, just the heal, from 10 to 5% per tick. Not the damage that it deals. Not that it deals a whole lot of damage, but having the scaling on the heal there, I don't know. I think Ardia was in a fine spot. I think she was honestly slightly underpowered, and this was a nerf I don't think she needed. I think people. I don't think people are playing against her very much, and so they still don't know how to play against her, how to counter her, how to effectively deal with her, because she just gets banned every game. She's like first or second ban. So still nobody knows how to play against her. I think when she starts getting played, she'll stop being played because she's underpowered. Anyways, Kukulane, still very strong on the level 2. They toned it back a little bit, toning it back a little more because he's still very strong. Berserk reduced bonus shield from 20 to 24 per level to 10 plus 20 per level. Not a massive change to the endgame level 20 shield, but a huge change. Less than half of what you got at level 2. I like it. I always thought it was a little odd that he got the shield anyways. But, you know, he's got to have something. He's a warrior brawler. Vent Anger decreases self move speed buff from 10% to 5%. It's just use your 2 and it slows you down less, I guess. I wasn't aware it slowed you down. Anyways, good changes. I don't think it'll hurt him almost at all, except for his level 2 shield. He won't be able to dive towers as effectively level 2, but his overall lane pressure, his invade ability, and his control late game won't change. He'll still be pretty dang good in that solo lane. Ymir doesn't get a whole lot of play. Very easy to lock down. Not something they can just change. So instead of that, his passive, which if you don't know what his passive does, some people don't. It slows you and it makes you deal less damage. I believe 10% less damage. Benefit from the 10% damage reduction he applies through Frostbite. Yes. And not just to him, that is to the god that it is applied to. 10% less damage on everything, on your teammates, on towers, on camps, on objectives, everything. So when he activates his ult, not when he detonates, when he activates it, the passive is put on him, so it's a lot harder for them to just kill him before his ult activates, or before he is able to detonate his ult. It also refreshes by the detonate, so when you detonate it refreshes, you deal more damage with your basic attacks. What this does not say is that if you activate it and then somebody walks into it, it does apply. It's not only at the very beginning and at the very end. It is applied as soon as somebody steps into that big old circle. Good change. Don't think he'll come back into the competitive meta. He might come out as a pocket pick in a game that doesn't mean anything, or in a very desperate attempt a Hail Mary, if you will, in the upcoming Smite games. Anyways, that's going to do it. 4.22, I believe, Passage to Egypt. Yes. Good skins, good changes. Not what I was expecting, but what I was hoping for. I'll say that. Anyways, that's going to do it for me, guys. Have a nice day.